Students, I'm giving you 5 minutes time to revise yesterday's topics. Okay, because we're going to deal with the continuity of it. So recollect the concept of RC and RL circuits. Today we will discuss LCR circuits and how to calculate the average power of an AC. Okay, 5 minutes time to revise. Do it. Yeah. Did you guys revise it? Guys, are you there or not?
Yes, sir.
Did you revise?
Yes,
Did
sir.
you revise? Did you guys revise the concepts?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what happens when you have an R and C in series? How are the voltages related?
Voltage lags the current by half.
In which case, voltage across what lags the other? So which one will be leading and which one will be lagging? These are all important. Guys, forgot that one day I asked you to revise just now. So voltage in the resistor leads the voltage across the capacitor by pi by 2, and voltage across the resistor lags the voltage across the inductor by pi by 2. Okay, I think we have completed RLC also. No? And what is there? So RLC also we have completed. So Z will be equal to root of R square plus XL minus XC the whole square. Okay. The next topic that we are supposed to discuss is resonance condition of a series RLC circuit. Okay. So resonance condition of, write down the heading as resonance condition of a series RLC circuit. Okay. So we know that I naught is equal to E naught divided by Z. So the current that is flowing through this device is given as I is equal to E by Z, and I naught will be equal to E naught by Z. So I naught is equal to E naught divided by Z is root of R square plus XL minus XC the whole square. Okay. So it is E naught divided by square root of R square plus, what is the value of XL? XL is omega into L minus XC is 1 by omega C the whole square. Okay. So resonances, I should be maximum. So I should be maximum for the condition for resonance condition, etc. Okay. I should be maximum for the resonance condition. If that is the case, then Z should be least. So for Z to be least, what will happen is omega L minus 1 by omega C should be equal to 0, which implies omega L is equal to 1 by omega C, which implies omega square is equal to 1 divided by LC, or I can say omega is equal to 1 by root LC. And this angular frequency is called as the resonance frequency. So it's called as the resonance angular frequency, and FR will be equal to 1 by 2 pi into root of LC, and this is called as the resonance frequency. Okay, so FR is equal to 1 by 2 pi root LC is going to be the resonance frequency. This is an important expression, and remember this. Okay. The next is the concept called as sharpness of resonance. See, this sharpness of resonance is a concept which is used in a tuner circuit. So you're reading about RC, RL, RLC, right? All these things in real time are used for filter circuits. Okay, let me explain what a filter means. See, suppose if you guys have experienced hearing to FM, right? So when you, let's say you have a, you see or you listen to FM on your mobile, have you ever heard some disturbance that will occur at some instances? Then you try to move the mobile at certain points, it will be clear. You will be able to hear a hissing sound. Shh, that kind of sound will be coming. The voice will not be clear and all those things. Have you ever observed it?
Sir, can you repeat what you said?
I'm saying you know what is FM, right? You would have heard FM.
Yes.
Right, you have heard it, right? What I'm saying is, when you hear FM, there will be certain regions where you will not be able to hear FM properly. Suppose you go in a car. In cars, sometimes you switch on the FM, sometimes you will not be able to hear it properly. Have you ever experienced it? Then what you do, after some time, you will be able to hear it properly. After some time, you will not be able to hear it. So if you go to remote locations, you will not be able to hear it. Sometimes. Right? But you can do some kind of a tuning to make it sharp.
Yes.
Have you guys experienced this or not?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Right. So how that is actually happening inside is the tuner is there. No, the tuner is actually a filter circuit. In the filter circuit, you will be using RL, RC, or RLC circuits so that you are able to tune and exactly get the sharp frequency of it. So that's what we call it as sharpness of resonance, and it is mainly used in tuner circuits. Okay. So to define the sharpness of the to define the sharpness of something, we have a factor in our hand which is called as Q factor, or it's also called as quality factor. Okay, so what will exactly happen is, if you try to plot a graph between the variation of current amplitude in a series RLC circuit with the angular frequency, then you will get a graph like this. This graph is important. So if you want to see how the peak value of I naught is changing with respect to frequency, then you will get a graph like this. Okay. So there are three different graphs that are given, where if I call this as 1, this as 2, and this as 3, the first graph has low resistance, second graph has moderate resistance, and the third graph has high resistance. Okay. If you observe in all these scenarios, there is a particular frequency at which the current in the circuit is maximum. The frequency for which the current in the circuit is maximum is what is called as resonance frequency. So the peak value of current will vary with respect to the angular frequency in this kind of a fashion. It will increase and then decrease. It will reach a maximum value at resonance frequency. Okay, so that's what they told. Figure shows the variation of current amplitude I0 in a series LCR circuit with angular frequency omega for 3 different values of R. The current amplitude has a peak at the resonant frequency omega R is equal to 1 by root LC and falls to 0 in either direction. So if you observe one thing, the resonance frequency is independent of R. It does not involve R at all in the equation. Okay, but the sharpness of peak depends on R. The sharpness of peak depends on R means when the value of R is changing from high to low, the peak is increasing. Okay. Thus, we can conclude that the graph will be sharp for small values of R and be flat for large value of R. So, if you want to measure the sharpness of resonance, it is measured by a coefficient called as the quality factor of the circuit. So, how do you define the quality factor as? So, the quality factor of a series resonance circuit is defined as the ratio of the resonant frequency to the difference in the two frequencies taken on both sides of the resonance frequency. So I repeat it. Please write down this definition. The Q factor, that is the quality factor of a series resonance circuit, is defined as the ratio of the resonant frequency, to the difference in frequencies, taken on both sides of the resonant frequency, such that at each frequency, the current amplitude becomes 1 by root 2 times the value of resonant frequency. Becomes 1 by root 2 times the value of the resonant frequency. So let me give you the definition of it. Okay. Listen to this carefully.
So 1 minute, sir. Can you show the definition?
Yeah, sure. Done?
Done, sir.
Okay. So if you take this graph, yes. So quality factor is defined like this. Q factor is equal to, it is the ratio of what? It is the ratio of the resonant frequency to the difference in frequencies that are taken on either side of the resonant frequency. If I call this as omega 1 and omega 2, the omega 1 and omega 2 will have the same value of I, which is nothing but I0 by root 2. Okay. So omega 1 and omega 2 should be chosen on either side of the resonant frequency such that the corresponding value of current across omega 1 and omega 2 will be I0 by root 2. Then omega R divided by omega 2 minus omega 1 is what is called as the quality factor of this particular series RLC circuit. Okay, and this omega 2 minus omega 1 is generally called as the bandwidth. You know what is bandwidth, right? The width of a band. So there are certain bands of frequencies that are available between these two. So that is why we write it as omega r divided by delta omega also. That is quality factor. Okay. Guys, I hope I'm clear, right?
Yes, sir.
The other formula that is not there here is Q is also given as 1 by R into root of L divided by C. The derivation is beyond the scope of this book. You need not study that. Okay, Q is equal to 1 by R into root of L divided by C. Okay, where R is the resistance, L is the inductance, and C is the capacitance. Sometimes they'll give you these values and ask you to calculate the quality factor. That time you should use this formula. 1 minute,
Sir, why
right? I
does,
made a mistake.
sir, for the Q is equal to omega r by 2 delta omega, why is the 2 coming there, sir?
2 is nothing but, see what they defined this as delta omega. This is 1 delta omega, this is 1 delta omega. That is why they took it as 2 delta omega.
Okay.
What I did is I took W omega 2 minus omega 1 as delta W, right? But according to the book, they took omega r minus omega 1 as delta W and omega r minus omega 2 as delta W. So they both are of equal distance. When added, it becomes 2 delta omega. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The 2 delta omega, according to this book, is called as the bandwidth. Okay. Now comes an important point. That is how to calculate the power in an AC circuit. Till now, what did we do? We gave different EMF values to different kinds of devices like a resistor, inductor, or a capacitor. Correct? Then we saw how the input is generating the necessary output. We saw the relation between I and E in terms of phasor diagram and the graphical representation. Now, what we will do is we will be discussing about the power in an AC circuit. Okay. So this is a slightly technical derivation, so concentrate, guys. So I'm going to talk about, when I say power, I'm talking about the average power. Okay, when I talk about power, I talk about the average power. So we know that E is equal to E naught sine omega t, and I will be equal to I naught sine of omega t plus phi. Correct? Now,
Yes, sir.
this is instantaneous value, this is instantaneous value. E naught is peak value, I naught is peak value. Now see, how can I define the instantaneous power as? So how do I define the instantaneous power as? It will become E into I, which is E naught sine omega t into I naught sine of omega t plus phi. Correct? Now see, E naught into I naught sine omega t into sine of omega t plus phi. Okay. Now see, the formula for sine A, there is a formula for 2 sine A sine B, which is given by the equation cos of A minus B minus cos of A plus B. Okay. So if I take this omega t plus phi as A and omega t as B, because I want to take the bigger quantity as A, then this will become E naught I naught divided by 2.
2 into 2 sine omega.
So it will become cos of omega t plus phi minus omega t minus cos of omega t plus phi plus omega t. Am I clear now? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, this is E naught I naught by 2. Omega t will get cancelled, become cos phi. minus cos of 2 omega t plus 5. Okay, let me call this as equation number 1. What is this value? This is the instantaneous power. This is the thing you need to have in your mind. Now, how to calculate the average power? Average power is 1 by t into integral of 0 to t dt. Like you guys remember how we calculated the average current? Integral of 0 to t I dt divided by capital T. No. Instead of current, we have power, where P is the instantaneous power. So this will be equal to 1 by capital T into integral of 0 to t cos phi dt minus integral of 0 to t cos of 2 omega t plus phi dt. Sure. So this will be 1 by t into, oh, sorry. I forgot E naught I naught by 2. Okay. If I take this cos phi outside, integral of dt between 0 to t minus, guys, remember one thing, integral of 0 to t, sine of anything multiplied with t is always a 0. Same is the case with cos of anything multiplied with t also. Because in one complete cycle, the number of positive cycles is equal to the number of negative cycles for cos and sine, they get cancelled. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is you need not sit and integrate this. This will be 0 itself. Please make a note of that point. Minus 0. Okay. This will become E naught I naught divided by 2t into cos phi. Integral of dt between 0 to t is capital T. T and T will get cancelled. You will get E naught I naught by 2 into cos phi, and this is going to give you the average power. So the average power is given as E naught by root 2 into I naught by root 2 into cos phi, where what is this E naught by root 2, guys? You already saw this value.
Resonant frequency.
It is ERMS.
ERMS.
Yes, it is ERMS. I naught by root 2 is IRMS into cos phi. Okay. So the average value of AC power over a complete cycle, average value of AC power over is ERMS into IRMS into cos phi. Okay, there is an important formula, guys. Make a note of this. Done?
Done, sir.
Okay.
Finished.
Now, we are going to see an important term called as power factor, which is sometimes called as PF. Okay. So the average power of an AC circuit is given by this expression, ERMS into IRMS into cos phi. So average power is equal to, see, we know the fact that RMS value is also called as virtual value. It is also called as effective value. So ERMS is virtual EMF, IRMS is virtual current, and this cos phi is what is called as the power factor. Okay. So the product of ERMS and IRMS does not give the actual power, right? And the product of ERMS and IRMS is generally called as the apparent power. So it gives actual or true power only when you multiply with the factor cos phi. And the cos phi is what is called as the power factor. So what you can conclude is true power is equal to apparent power into power factor. So if you want to find the exact power consumed by the electrical equipment in your house, then what you need to know is you need to know its apparent power, multiply it with the power factor, that is cos phi, then you'll get the exact power. So since cos is a function which lies between 0 to 1, the power factor may be defined as the ratio. So true power is equal to apparent power into power factor. Now, the power factor can be written as true power divided by apparent power. So the power factor may be defined as the ratio of the true power to the apparent power of an AC circuit, and its value lies between 0 to 1. So if you want to calculate the power factor of an LCR circuit, the power factor of an LCR circuit is given by the value R divided by Z. Okay, please make a note. I'll tell you why it came. Okay. Now see, if we need to understand why cos phi is equal to R by Z, we need to revisit the concepts that we discussed yesterday. So this is there, no? You have VR, you have VL minus VC. So VR is like this. VL minus VC is like this. And V is like this. If you take this as phi, where this phi is the same as the you wrote cos phi, no? There also you have phi. That phi and this phi are the same. Okay. Now, if you take this part alone and complete a triangle, if VR is like this, okay, I am turning this whole diagram to the clockwise direction such that this is VR and this is VL minus VC and this is V. If this is taken as phi, okay, if I complete this triangle, then this triangle is called as the impedance triangle. Okay. And if you write cos phi from this, if you write cos phi from this, cos phi is nothing but IR divided by IZ. So I and I will get cancelled. Then cos phi will be equal to R divided by Z. There is the reason why we wrote power factor is equal to R divided by Z for an RLC circuit. Guys, am I clear? Did you understand why cos phi is equal to R by Z for a series LCR circuit?
Yes, sir.
Now see. We were discussing power factor. No? Yeah. So cos phi is equal to R by Z is there that you have written here. So if you look at the value of phi, see generally where did this phi come from? It is the phase difference between the EMF and the current. That is how we started the derivation. Oh, E is equal to E naught sine omega t, and I is equal to I naught sine of omega t plus phi. Right. So phi is basically the phase difference between EMF and current. We know that phi is equal to 90 degrees for capacitor and inductor. Correct? So phi is equal to 90 degrees for capacitor and inductor. If you take these values and substitute, then you will get power factor as cos 90 degrees, which is equal to 0. So this is an important point to be noted. This is an often asked question. The power factor of a purely inductive and a capacitive circuit is always 0. Okay, there is an important term also that comes out of this. Thus, the power factor assumes the minimum value for purely resistive circuit, because in a resistive circuit, what is the phase difference between EMF and current? Guys, for a resistive circuit, E is equal to E naught sine omega t and I is equal to I naught sine omega t, correct? So what happens for a purely resistive circuit? Power factor will be equal to cos of 0 degrees, which will be 1. So thus power factor assumes the maximum value for a purely resistive circuit. I'm sorry, here there is a mistake. Power factor assume minimum value for purely inductive or capacitive circuit. Okay. So is it clear till this point, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Now we saw what is average power and all those things. We'll see some problems because there are only 2 more problems that are left out. Let's try out this problem. 7.8. There is a sinusoidal voltage of peak value 283 volt and a frequency of 50 hertz is applied to a series LCR circuit in which resistance is 3 ohm, length is 25.48 inductance is 25.48 millihenry, and capacitance is 796 microfarad. Find the impedance of the circuit, the phase difference between the voltage across the source and the current, power dissipated in circuit, and the power factor. So peak value is given as 283 volt. Frequency is given as 50 hertz. Resistance is 3 ohm. Inductance is 25.48 millihenry. Capacitance is 796 microfarad. So how will you calculate the impedance? So what is the formula for impedance? What is the impedance of an RLC circuit? We started today's class with that equation. Go check your notes and tell me. Square root of R square plus XL minus XC the whole square. This would be square root of R square is 9 plus you need to find XL by using the formula omega L and XC using the formula 1 by omega C and put a square. Okay. So this will be the value of Z. So how will you calculate omega? Omega is equal to 2 pi into F. L is given. Similarly, here omega is 2 pi F. C is given. This substitute everything to get the value of impedance. Now they are asking, what are the phase difference across the voltage and the current? To find the phase difference, what you can do is apply cos phi. Apply cos phi is equal to R divided by Z. So you will find Z from here, right? Once you find Z, substitute it here. R is already given as 3. Okay, once you substitute that value, you will get phi is equal to cos inverse of R divided by Z. Okay. Next, they're asking the power dissipated in the circuit. So power you can write it as. So power you can write it as I square R, but remember this value of I that you're supposed to substitute is always I RMS. Okay, you should always substitute this as I RMS. So I RMS means it will become I naught square by 2 into R. So that will give you the amount of power dissipated in the circuit. And power factor we have already calculated. Cos phi is equal to R by 2. There itself we got the power factor. Okay. Am I clear? Any doubt?
No, sir.
So moving on to the next problem. Suppose the frequency of the source in the previous example can be varied. What is the frequency of the source at which resonance occurs? I told you the formula for resonance. What is it? Omega R is equal to 1 by root of L into C.
1 by
So, yeah, 1 by root of L into C. L is given, C is given. Substitute both, you will get the value of omega R. So omega R came out as 221.1 radians per second. Okay, next. Calculate the impedance, the current, and the power dissipated at the resonance condition. How much is the impedance? So, under resonance condition, right, you should remember that the impedance is equal to resistance. Because in the resonance condition, what is happening to XL and XL minus XC? XL minus XC will be equal to 0. So Z is equal to R. Okay. So how will you calculate the current? So current is equal to V by Z. But again, resonance condition Z is R. So V divided by R will give you the answer. That is 66.7 ampere. Okay. And power dissipated at the resonance condition. So power is equal to, in this case, it is I square R. You will use this value of I only. So I is 66.7. So 66.7 square into R is 3, which will give you the value of 13.35 kilowatt. Okay. Next. The topics that are left out are LC oscillations and transformer. Okay. With that, this chapter is going to be over. So let's discuss LC oscillations and transformers. We'll see it in tomorrow's class. So we saw what happens when an AC source is connected across R separately, L separately, C separately, then RC, then RL. So what are the combination that is left out?
LC.
Yes. So what happens is we will never study a concept where LC is connected across an AC source, because both inductor and capacitor are those devices which can store energy, whereas resistor is a device which will only dissipate energy. So inductor and capacitor, when they store energy, so this is the point, guys. We know that a capacitor and inductor can store electrical and magnetic energy respectively. So what they will do is, instead of using an AC source, they will use a fully charged capacitor. So when a capacitor which is initially charged is connected to an inductor, the charge on the capacitor and the current in the circuit exhibit the phenomenon of electrical oscillations similar to that of the mechanical oscillations in simple harmonic motion. Okay. So what exactly happens is, when the capacitor is getting discharged, there will be a back EMF getting induced across the inductor. Okay. As a result of which, the electrical energy decreases and the magnetic potential energy increases. So what will happen? There will be one particular point where the capacitor will be completely discharged. So when the capacitor is completely discharged, what will happen to the inductance? Sorry, what will happen across the inductor? By the time the capacitor is completely discharged, the inductor will be having full of energy in it. Right? Now the inductor will start losing its magnetic energy and the capacitor will again get charged, and inductor will lose all its energy at one point of time by the time the capacitor is again fully charged. As a result of which, what is happening is, there is an oscillation taking place between the mechanical energy. There is a toggling that is taking place now between the electrical energy and the magnetic energy. Okay. So for this, if you apply the Kirchhoff's loop rule, then you can say that the potential across this, that is Q by C, is equal to minus L, is equal to L into dI by dt. So Q by C minus L into dI by dt will be equal to G. Okay. So Q by C will be equal to L into, instead of I, can I write it as dQ by dt, guys, with respect to dt. So this becomes Q by C is equal to L into d square Q divided by dt square. So this will be the expression. And an important point is, you need not memorize all these things because you have only quantitative study. Okay. So if you observe this equation is in the form of a simple harmonic equation. Hence, the frequency that this LC oscillator will produce will also be equal to 1 by root LC. That is the only thing you need to know. Okay. So what is happening is, there is a toggling of electrical and magnetic energy taking place between the capacitor and inductor in such a way that the frequency that is generated by this LC oscillator is equal to 1 divided by root of L into C. Okay. So this is the whole outline. So this is all about LC oscillations. So I will show you diagrammatically. Initially, when the capacitor is fully charged, the electrostatic energy that is present is Q square by 2C. We know this formula, right? From the energy stored in the capacitor. Similarly, if you see the energy stored in the form of magnetic field, it is zero, because inductor did not have any back EMF. Now, after some point of time, this is losing charge and this is gaining some EMF. And there will be one particular point where the electrostatic energy is completely zero and the magnetic energy becomes half into L into Im square, where Im is the maximum current that is there. Again, what will happen? This will start supplying the current in the reverse direction, and the capacitor will get charged in the reverse direction. Observe, no, the polarities get swapped. So here U is also not equal to 0, K is also not equal to 0, means UE is not equal to 0 and UB is also not equal to 0. Then what will happen? This inductor will completely lose its EMF and this will be fully charged. At that point, what will happen? Again, UE will be maximum and UB is 0. So cycle keeps continuing such that it keeps producing a frequency of value 1 by root LC. So this whole story is what is written here. You can just go through it. Okay. So with this, the LC oscillations is over. So I told you there is only transformers that is left out. Transformers will take some time. It will take around 30 minutes to explain. Any other doubt, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. So that's it from my side for today. Okay. By tomorrow we'll complete it. If at all the class gets slightly extended, we'll take 10 or 15 minutes extra also. And by tomorrow I'll close this whole chapter. Okay. So revise and come. After this, you guys will have continuous tests and assignments. Be mentally prepared to solve all those things. So that's it, guys. We can wind up this session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.